Jimmy here with Allen Inkworks, doing another long form content video. Today I'm going to cover glue, or at least a little overview of glue and how it relates to label casting. So you go on the internet or forums or what have you, and there's a host of glues that everyone recommends, and maybe they work for them, but in my experience I found out that sometimes when you label cast, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up here, but we'll see. When you get the seam, there we go. See how the seam there has lifted up? A lot of times that occurs, at least in my experience and with me when I do my label casting, based on the type of glue sometimes you get. That glue will act as a solvent on the label adhesive and cause that label sometimes to rise up before you even get it anywhere near the casting process. So there's a lot of different suggestions about how to mitigate that. You see here, make sure I got the right side here. You see what a label seam should look like. You can see some of the shadow there, but this label hasn't really lifted up very much, if any. And that's because I sealed it with some other glue prior to casting. So one of the glues, let's just knock out the ones we're not going to use. We're not going to use Elmer's Glue All. I have seen the purple glue recommended before for label casting. I've used it. Didn't work for me as well as I'd hoped. So we're going to eliminate that one. Oops. The other one, CA. CA, maybe I'm just not using the right technique, but I've seen some people who try to use this as or as suggested this to seal up the seam. It really acts as a solvent, and it's super messy. And maybe some of my experience in using these glues wasn't necessarily that they didn't work for me in the adhesion factor, but they were just so messy to work with. This one I see recommended a lot, Mod Podge. Mod Podge is getting there, but Mod Podge is more of a sealer and a top coat. So I've still seen it where it's acted almost as a solvent and taken that adhesive on the label and caused it to fail. The last one I remember that was recommended was UV resin, which comes along here with this UV pen. I've tried that. I think it might work if I used it more. The problem with it is it's messy, and when you're trying to adhere something, holding it, maybe what I need to do is just develop a different holding mechanism to use it. I went on, of course, ChatGPT, used AI, gave it my problems to see what it recommended. And before I get to that part, it recommended a brand of Aleene's. Now, when I went to the store, I just bought every Aleene's that I could find. Now, I found this Rapid Dry, and I'll say this Rapid Dry kind of works. It's a little rubbery, and it dries in a glossy sheen. Maybe my technique in using it and how it works, do a little more refinement. We'll see what happens down the road with that one. So what they did recommend through AI search was this Aleene's Original Tacky Glue. You can find it in the craft section at Walmart, and I was like, okay, well, I'll try it and see what happens. And sure enough, this one had the best results I've had with label casting. Now, I'll describe myself as an experienced novice. How about that? I probably casted hundreds of label casted tubes, and I will say right now that this one has worked as far as not becoming a solvent with the tack on the adhesive of the label and causing it to fail. And it does dry quickly. But I will say that when you coat something in any type of glue, when you're label casting, make sure that you let it cure, i.e. let it dry. Don't try to cast something with especially this PVA, which is kind of a water-based glue, and water and Alumilite do not mix, so make sure to allow these things to cure. This was, I think, the Mod Podge. I let it cure, but I have done it where I have casted something and I didn't allow the the glue to cure for 24 hours, and it contaminated the batch of castings that I was doing, the entire batch. So, word to the wise, let your glue cure. Experiment with different glues and see what works for you. This is a glue. It's not the glue. It's a way. It's not the way. It's just what I've seen that's worked for me. So make sure to drop a comment. Tell me what glue works for you, what tips and tricks you might have with some of these other glues that I've used. And I'm sure I'll get a load of expertise and advice, which is always welcome. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe as I grow this channel and as I learn how to use YouTube more. Today, this is the first time I'm using a DJI mic, so on my audio. So we'll see how that goes. It's all a learning curve. It's all it's all an exploration of learning. And thank you. Everybody have a good day and keep on turning. Bye-bye.